Alright, welcome back. We are still in Unit 6, Plane Geometry of our ACT Prep. We're on Day 10, Geometric Formulas. Alright, you need to know these formulas. Pretty much, you need to have them memorized, okay? To find the area of a rectangle, it's length times width, base times height. To find the area of a square, it's just sides squared because those are equal sides. So it's still length times width, but because in a square, sides are equal, it's the length times the length, which is length squared. A parallelogram is also base times height. The thing is, this is not your height. This would be, if this is what you're calling your base, then the definition of a height is it has to be the perpendicular distance from a base to an opposite vertex. So this distance would be your height. You could also say it's this distance. You could also say it's this distance if you dropped it outside. The thing of it is you just make sure that you don't call this the base and this the height. That's wrong. Okay, your height has to be that perpendicular distance to the base. Your triangle is 1/2 base times height. Okay, in a right triangle, your base and your height are your two legs. In a scalene triangle, again, your height isn't one of the sides. It has to be the perpendicular distance from the base to the opposite corners. Okay, your circle area is pi r squared, and we use 3.14 for pi. And you find the radius and you square it, and there's your area. Your circumference is pi times diameter, also known as 2 pi r, because 2 r's make a d. Two radii make a diameter. So these are both pretty commonly used for circumference of a circle. A trapezoid, just like we learned here not too many days ago, has one pair of parallel sides and the other sides are not. So to get the area of a trapezoid, you take 1/2 times the height, and again, the height is not one of the sides. It has to be the perpendicular distance between the two bases, and then you add these two bases together, and there's your formula for area of a trapezoid. Okay? So, try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got T. It says, what is the area of a circle that has a diameter equal to 6? Well, area of a circle is pi r squared. Okay, this says it has a diameter equal to 6, which means its radius is half of that, which is 3. So plugging it in, I have area equals pi times 3 squared, which gives me an area of 9 pi. And again, you got to look at your answers. If they were in decimal form, then I would know that they went ahead and multiplied the 9 by 3.14. So a lot of times they'll just leave their answer in terms of pi, because then you're not rounding off, which is more accurate. Okay? Alright, so let's do some practicing here. It says, where appropriate, use 3.14 for pi. So 1 says, what is the area of the parallelogram below in square units? Well, area of my parallelogram is 1/2 times, this is parallelogram. My area is just base times height. My base would be 8. My height, I thought it was from trapezoid, sorry. My height would be 4. So my area is going to be 32 units squared. Okay? Number 2, it says, what is the height of a parallelogram if the base is 4 and the area is 20? So I like to draw a little picture here. They want to know the height of a parallelogram, and they're telling me that its base is 4 and that the area is 20. Well, again, area of a parallelogram is base times height. They told me the area is 20. They told me the base is 4, and they want me to find the height. So to get h alone, I divide by 4, and my height has to be 5 centimeters. Okay? Number 3, what is the area of this triangle in square units? Well, area equals base times height divided by 2. They write their formula 1/2 base times height. This is the same thing, and I prefer writing it that way because then I don't really see that 1/2 so much. I don't know, I just like it written like that. Alright, so my base of my triangle is 6. Again, the height has to be the perpendicular distance, which is this. So my area is going to be my base times my height divided by 2, which is 36 divided by 2, which is 18 units squared. Okay, number 4, it says, what is the base of a triangle? So they're looking for the base. They know they're giving me the area is 24 and the height is 6. Well, again, area equals base times height over 2. So plug in 24 for area. I don't know base, but I know height is 6 all over 2. To solve this, alright, I don't want that fraction, so I'm going to multiply by 2. That gives me 48 equals 6b. So then I'm going to divide by 6, and I get b equals 8 inches. Okay? Alright, number 5, what is the width of the rectangle? Well, again, if they're giving me area, I'm sure they want me to use the area formula, which is area equals length times width. If they give me area, that's 35. I know the length is 7. I don't know the width, leave a W, and solve. So to get W alone, I divide by 7, and my W equals 5 units, whatever the units are measured in. Okay? Number 6, what is the area of a rectangle if the length is 9 and the width is 2 units less than the length? Well, 2 units less would be 7. So my area is going to be 9 times 7, which is going to give me 63 units squared. Okay. Number 9. Oh, did I skip some? I did. Yep, 7. What is the area of the square in square units? Well, if it's a square, this side is 6 and this side is 6, and the area of a square is side squared, so it would be 6 squared, which would be 36 units squared. Number 8, what is the length of the side of a square? If we have a square, we know all sides are equal, and it says the area is 121. Well, for a square, area equals side squared. They told me the area is 121, so I have 121 equals side squared. To figure out what the side is, I got to kill the square, so square root both sides, and a side would be 11. Okay? Number 9, what is the area and circumference of a circle with radius equal to 5 centimeters? Well, area is pi r squared, and circumference is 2 pi r. So to get my area, I'm going to put pi times 5 squared, which would give me an area of 25 pi. And if you multiplied that out, that would give you an area of approximately 78.5 centimeters squared. It just depends on how they want their answer. In terms of pi would be that, in decimal form would be that. My circumference is going to equal 2 times pi times my radius. So my circumference in pi form would be 10 pi. If you multiply that out by 3.14, you get 31.4. And again, we're in centimeters. Okay. Number 10, what is the radius of a circle if the area is equal to 16 pi meters squared? Well, area of a circle is pi r squared. And they want to know what my radius is if the area is 16 pi. So they're telling me to make that 16 pi, and that will equal pi times r squared. So to figure out the radius, I got to get r alone, so I'm going to divide by pi, cancels, and I get 16 equals r squared, square root, and r has to be 4 meters. Okay? Alright, 11, it says, what is the height of this trapezoid? Well, they're giving me area, so they want me to do something with the area formula. Area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times the height times the sum of the bases. So it gives me the area is 18. That's 1/2. I don't know h, but inside they want me to add 4 plus 8. So if I simplify this, I'm going to have, first of all, I'm going to multiply by 2 because I hate fractions. This is all one product, so I just have to do it once. So that's going to make 36 equals 1 times h times 12. That gives me 36 equals 12h. Divide by 12, and I get my height is equal to 3 units. Okay. Number 12, what is the area of a trapezoid? I'm going to draw one. with a height of 4 inches. One base is equal to 6, and the other base is equal to twice that, so the other one would be 12. So my area is 1/2 times my height times the sum of my bases. That's going to be 1/2 times 4 times 18, and that is going to be area equals half of 4 is 2. 2 times 18 would be 36 units squared. Okay. Alright, 13, they want me to find the area of the rectangular deck with a semicircular end shown below. Well, basically, to find the area of that whole thing, I've got to find the area of that rectangle and add it to the area of that semicircle. Well, my rectangle is going to be length times width, so that's 20 times 15, plus the area of the semicircle. Well, a circle would be pi r squared, so a semicircle would be half of that. So I'm going to have pi. Well, I need my radius. Well, if this is 15 feet from here to here, then this is 15 feet from here to here, which means my radius is going to be half of that, which is 7.5. So I'd have pi times 7.5 squared over 2. Okay, so this one gives me 20 times 15 is 300. Plus, this gives me, if I type it all in and be real careful, use 3.14, is going to be 88.3125. And that gives me an area of 388.3125. Area is units squared, so it's feet squared. 14. If the height of a triangle is 3.2 meters and the area is 6.4 meters, what is the length of the base? Well, area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. My base is, I don't know. My height is 3.2 divided by 2. Oh, sorry, it told me my area. The area is 6.4. Okay, so to solve this for b, I got to get b alone. So I'm going to multiply by 2 to kill the fraction. And that's going to give me 19.2 equals... Sorry, I'm on the wrong problem here. My bad. That's going to give me 12.8. Sorry. Equals 3.2 feet. Because those two's cancel. Alright, so then I'm going to divide by 3.2. And I get my base is equal to 4, and we're in meters. Okay? 15. 15 says, if the bases of a trapezoid, draw a quick trapezoid here, measure 1.4 and 3.4, and the area is 19.2, they want me to figure out the height. Well, area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times the height times the sum of the bases. Well, they give me the area is 19.2, and that equals 1/2 times my height, which I don't know, times the sum of the bases, which is 1.4 plus 3.4. So I'm going to kill the fraction, because I don't like it. So times 2 times 2, I get 38.4 equals 1 times the height times 1.4 plus 3.4, which would be 4.8. So to get h alone, I'm going to divide by 4.8, and I get my height is equal to 8, and we're in meters. Okay. Alright, number 16, what is the radius of a circle with an area of 36 pi square units? Well, area of a circle is pi r squared. They're telling me my area is 36 pi, so that has to equal pi times whatever my radius is squared. So to figure out my radius, I'm going to get r alone, so I'm going to divide by pi, cancel, cancel. I get 36 equals r squared, square root, and my radius must be 6 units. Okay? 17 says, what is the area of the figure below in pi form? It is a rectangle with a triangle at one end, so if I connect those, there's my little triangle, and a semicircle at the other end, so there's my semicircle. It looks like a little pencil. Alright, the length of the rectangle is 10, so they're saying this distance is 10. The radius of the circle is 3, so from here to here is 3. The height of the triangle is equal to its base, so whatever this is, it's equal to this. Well, what I know is if from here to here is 3, then from here to here is 3, which makes this side 6, which makes the height 6. Okay? So what I need to do is find the area of my triangle and add it to the area of my rectangle and add it to the area of my semicircle. Alright, well my triangle is going to be base times height divided by 2. My rectangle is going to be length times width, so that's going to be 10 times 6. And my semicircle, that's going to be pi r squared, that's a circle, half of it divided by 2, is going to be pi times 3 squared over 2. Now, they said they want their answer in terms of pi, which means they don't ever really want you to use 3.14 in your calculations. You just leave it pi, okay? So this is going to give me 36 divided by 2, which is 18. This is 60, and this is going to be 9 pi over 2. Okay? So this would be 78, and this, if you want decimal, which it would be 4.5 pi. And that would be units squared. And that would be my area of the whole thing in terms of pi. Now I could actually get a decimal answer if I used 3.14 for pi and multiplied by 4.5 and added 78. But they wanted it in terms of pi, so that's as far as I can go. Alright, 18, they want the area of this figure. You can cut this up a lot of different ways. I just chose to do this. So I made that, and I made that. So I've got 3 areas here. So if I can find the area of that big rectangle plus the area of the one standing like this plus the area of that short one on the side, I can add them all up. Well, this rectangle is going to be its length times its width, so that's going to be 15 times 12 plus the area of this one. Well, we got some figuring to do here. I know the length, but I need to know the width. Well, if this whole side is 15, then all of this has to be 15. Well, I'm taking 5 away here, which would leave this all to be 10 units long. Well, if from here to here is 6 units, then this has to be 4 units. So this rectangle here is going to be 9 times 4. Let's use parentheses. Now my last rectangle over here, okay, again I got the length, I need the width. Well, if from here to here, let's see, how did I do this? So this is 6, this is 9. How did I figure out that this was 4? Oh, this whole thing is 16. If you take off this much of it, which is this length, it would be 12. So 16 take away 12 would leave this to be 4. So this rectangle would be 6 times 4. Alright, and then I add all those up. 15 times 12 is 180 plus 36 plus 24 gives me a total of 240 units squared. Okay. 19, what is the area of the shaded region in the figure below in pi form? Well, if I just want the shaded region, I want to take the whole circle, so pi r squared, of the big circle, and take away, if I take away the smaller circle, which is pi r squared for it, that will give me the area of just the shaded region. Alright, so in my big circle, it has a radius of 6. So this is going to be pi times 6 squared minus my smaller circle has a radius of 4, so that's going to be pi times 4 squared. Well, that's going to be 36 pi, and that's going to be 16 pi. And again, they just want it in terms of pi, so that's going to be a total of 20 pi units squared is the area of the shaded region. Okay, and 20. It says the side of a square. Oh, it's a square. Oh. So we have a square that has sides that are 8 units long. The square is cut and pieced together to form a rectangle with a width of 4. Well, if they want my width to be 4, right now it's 8, so I would cut it in half to make this 4. So I would pick this up and tack it onto the side. So this would be 4 by 8, so this would be another 4, and this would be another 8. Well, that would make the length of this new rectangle 8 plus 8, which would be 16 units long. Okay? Alright, try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got D. It says, what is the area of the trapezoid shown below? Area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times the height times the sum of the bases. So my area is going to be 1/2. My height is 5. Base 1 is 6 plus base 2 is 11. So my area is 1/2 of 5 times 17. Type that all in, you get 42.5 units squared. Okay? Try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got G. It says, what is the circumference of a circle that has an area equal to 49 pi? So we're talking about both things. So area is pi r squared and circumference is 2 pi r. It tells me my area. My area is 49 pi. So if I can plug it in here, I can get the radius, which then can find me the circumference. So to get the radius alone, I'm going to divide by pi. And I get 49 equals radius squared, square root, and I get the radius is 7. So now I can figure out the circumference, because that's going to be 2 times pi times 7. In terms of pi, would just be 14 pi. Okay? Try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got 8 centimeters squared. Okay, so it says, what is the area of a square? So we've got a square whose diagonal has a length of 4 centimeters. Well, you've got, if that's a square, you know sides are equal. That makes a right angle, so Pythagorean theorem would say x squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. So I get 2x squared equals 16, divide by 2. I get x squared equals 8. Square root, I get x equals 2 squared, well, you could simplify it, but if I just leave it the square root of 8, that means each side is the square root of 8. Which means the area is side squared, which gives me an area of, what's the square root of 64, which gives me an area of 8, and we're in centimeters, and area is always squared. Okay? Try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got G. Alright, for this problem, they want the area of the shaded region. So if I take the square and I subtract the circle, that'll get the area of the shaded region. Well, the area of my square is base times height, length times width, whatever you want to say. Well, that circle goes all the way through. I mean, if my diameter would be 10. Well, that's the whole length of the bottom of the square, so that's 10, which makes that 10. Well, that would be 5, and that would be 5, which makes that 10. So the area of this square is 10 times 10. The area of my circle is pi r squared. So that's going to be pi times 5 squared. Well, that's 100. This is 25 pi. And in terms of pi, that's all I can do. If your answers were in decimal form, then you would use 3.14 for pi and type it in. Alright, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got, come on, there we go, C. Alright, the figure below is made up of a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And you know what that means. That means that the legs are equal, right? And you're going to have, and they want us to find the area of the entire figure. Well, I need to find the area of the triangle, and then the area of the semicircle. Well, when we know when you have a 45, 45, 90 right triangle, that your hypotenuse is always the leg times the square root of 2. So that must mean my legs are both 8. So the area of my triangle is going to be base times height divided by 2. My semicircle, if my my circle area is pi r squared, but we want a semicircle, so it's going to be half of that. Well, I need my radius. So if my diameter is 8 square roots of 2, and my radius is half of that, divide by 2, and you get 4 square roots of 2. So I have pi times 4 square roots of 2 squared over 2. Alright, this is going to be 64 over 2. If I square 4 square roots of 2, in other words, I multiply it by itself. 4 times 4 is 16. The square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4, which is 2, which gives me 16 times 2, 32. Okay, so the top is going to give me 32 pi over 2. Okay, so now I can have, since the denominators match, or you could simplify first, it doesn't matter. 64 divided by 2 is 32. 32 divided by 2 is 16 pi. And that's where they came up with that. Okay, and that does it for day, whatever we're on, 10. And I will see you next time for day 11.